in the complex and often perplexing world of online communities, where allegiances are forged in the crucible of shared interests and vendettas, Hasanabi offers a scathing dissection of the peculiar ecosystem that has formed around the streamer known as Destiny.
We're moving on. If there's like people in Destiny's community that recognize that, like, hey man, maybe these aren't my grudges. Like maybe this is the guy who I'm watching, who I've developed a parasocial relationship with, who has like this very weird vendetta and very weird, very public grudge. Maybe I shouldn't feel this angry towards this guy. Because it's like, dude, are you okay? Like, what are you, why are you trying to, I don't get it. Like, how is this a thing that you're mad about? You just come across like a unhinged hater. Anyway, his community mostly just thinks he was a lolcow. I know, but what a lot of these people don't understand, and many people don't understand this, is that when we're inside of a hug box, when we're inside of an echo chamber, when we're inside of like these super sheltered communities, you'll end up unironically coming across like a weirdo when most people will look at this and go, this is objectively a nice thing. Do you understand? Like, the fact that you know what a lolcow is, for the record, already gives you like, it already gives up the game. Like, I know what it is because I'm a brain broken loser. You know what I mean? Do you think the average person knows what a lolcow is? Do you think that this passes the bus driver test? It doesn't. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Bus Driver, sir. There's a content creator out there who raises a lot of money for like charities, raises a lot of money for a cause that he believes in, raises a lot of money for labor unions and stuff. And I actually despise him. And we get together online every night, a bunch of our friends, we watch him so we can clip some of the stuff that he says out of context and then vilify him. And that's how we make fun. What do we get out of it? Well, there's a thing called karma. So there's a website, it's like a forum where I go and post these clips, and then all of these other people who also pathetically are obsessed with like everything this guy does, well, we all get excited at the prospect of him looking bad. Obviously, sometimes it's a swing and a miss, like when the broader public looks at the situation and goes, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. This dude owns. And then we look kind of sweaty and loserfied. But he streams for 10 hours a day. Inevitably, we'll catch him again, slipping, catch him again, saying something that we can cut to deliberately massage the narrative, once again, that he's actually a bad guy. So that's what we do. Go ahead. Explain that to a bus driver. Explain that to any normal person, that you're doing this because you get a sense of community and you get some karma on a website. Do you make money off of that? Absolutely not. Doesn't even matter. No, you're doing it for free. Do you get it? I hope this like shakes some people out of the stupor that they're in, because it's very weird. It's a very weird thing to do. This guy's from that community, and he's like, I think of you as a lolcow, and so do many others. You were calling for the assistant of a U.S. Senator? Go ahead. Explain that as well. Explain that to another bus driver. Hey, so you know how Shinzo Abe was by a Fallout 3 style gun? One funny thing that a lot of edgy people online like to do is post the gun, post the schematics of the gun that killed in the most successful politicalist of all time, as a matter of fact, or at least in our generation, Shinzo Abe. Why did he do that? Why did this political commentator do that? Oh, that's right. Oh, our community also loves saying slurs, by the way. We're very edgy. We love who lost his entire career because he was way too so that Adult Swim literally dropped him. But hey, this other guy actually, he posted a Fallout meme gun, so we're going to cry about it for hours and hours. Also, my favorite content creator loves saying the N-word all the time. Says it publicly, broad daylight, regularly. And then we get really mad when this guy that we hate in the community says cracker. We get him banned off the platform, despite the fact that we all unify around, being able to say slurs as white guys. Go ahead. You understand that, like, when people put it into terms like this, you come across like an insane person, right? It's like, I'm insane just for knowing about it. Yeah, look in the DGG group chat. I'm sure they got a good response for you, and then you can copy and paste it in here. Anyway, it was like a very weird thing, and this is a very weird thing. It's just like obsessed. It's pathetic, and I'm telling you right now, you would unironically be a happier person if you didn't do that. One day, one day. Does that more not understand by definition, clip chimps ignore context? Yes. Yeah. Oh, also, turns out, remember that guy that we were just talking about? Nice job on, here's what he said after Piers Morgan. I didn't even know that he had this take, but it turns out he said, nice job on Piers Morgan. The slow motion car crash of your career is great content. It was pretty successful. You are literally what I'm talking about, brother. You are divorced from reality. Like, you know how, like, this should be a moment of self-reflection. This should be a moment where you take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath and go, wait a minute. I felt this way, and very strongly so, because someone motivated me to feel this way, right? Someone in the community that I participate in made me feel a certain way, and it was able to literally warp your perspective so dramatically. Like, think about how that was received by the broader public versus think about how that was received by you and others in the community that you're in. Doesn't that spell trouble for you, that you are that far removed? Like, you are that far removed from the way normal people receive a type of information versus the way you feel. There's a catastrophe going on with 32-year-old IT support agents who want to use slurs due to that debate being successful and viewership being up. Yeah. Anyway, all I see is someone rotting in their room all day. Me? Bitch, you think I'm rotting? You think I'm rotting? I'm outside every day, son. I'm working out. I'm getting sunlight every goddamn day. Whew. Anyway, my brain is rotted, though, for sure. That part is definitely real. I sometimes think about the day that I became an anti-Hassan guy and what kind of monster I become. Clearly, it has to happen eventually. You can't stay Hasanabi head forever, apparently, lol. It will happen. It happens to a lot of people. It will inevitably happen. I'll probably ban you, and you'll get mad. Or one of my mods will ban you for being weird, and you won't understand the context. It depends on how much of a boomer you are, too. Sometimes people become, like, permanent haters because Fossabot clapped them because they were writing, like, long essays that they thought were well thought out. Anyway, but it's done.
With the precision of a seasoned rhetorician, Hassan dissects the strange dynamics that drive this community, illuminating the ways in which they become ensnared in a web of parasocial relationships and collective obsessions that border on the pathological. To Hassan, the members of Destiny's community are not simply fans but rather participants in a bizarre social experiment, one that warps their perceptions of reality and cultivates a mindset that is increasingly divorced from the norms of rational discourse. He sees this community as a closed loop, an echo chamber where grievances are amplified and vendettas are nurtured, leading to a cycle of mutual reinforcement that fuels a collective animosity toward perceived enemies, himself included. The core of Hassan's critique lies in the observation that these individuals often adopt the grudges and obsessions of their leader without critical reflection. They internalize the vendettas of Destiny, mistaking his personal feuds for moral crusades, and in doing so, they lose sight of the bigger picture. What might seem to a neutral observer as a trivial or even nonsensical conflict is, within the insular world of this community, elevated to the status of a righteous cause. It is this disconnect between the internal logic of the group and the external reality that Hassan finds so baffling and so concerning. Hassan points out that the very language and concepts that pervade Destiny's community are alien to those outside it. Terms like lolco, which are bandied about with casual familiarity within the group, are meaningless to the average person. This insular jargon not only reinforces the group's sense of identity but also serves to further isolate them from the broader public. To Hassan, this is symptomatic of a community that has become so self-referential that it can no longer engage meaningfully with the outside world. The obsession with Hassan himself, whom they view through the distorted lens of their leader's animosity, is emblematic of this phenomenon. Rather than engaging with his content or ideas on their own merits, members of Destiny's community fixate on minor incidents or out-of-context clips, using these as fuel for their disdain. In Hassan's view, this is not just a failure of critical thinking but a kind of collective self-delusion, a willful blindness to the broader reality in favor of a narrow, distorted narrative. What Hassan finds particularly troubling is the emotional investment that these individuals have in their shared grievances. Their anger and disdain are not rooted in personal experience or direct interaction but are instead inherited from their leader, passed down like a family heirloom. This parasocial relationship, where followers adopt the emotional baggage of a figure they have never met, is, in Hassan's eyes, deeply unhealthy. It creates a community that thrives on negativity, where the primary mode of interaction is one of mutual hostility. The absurdity of this situation is laid bare when Hassan challenges these individuals to explain their behavior to an outsider. He imagines a scenario in which a member of Destiny's community tries to justify their actions to a bus driver, an everyman figure who serves as a stand-in for the average, rational person. The exercise, of course, reveals the futility of their obsession. What seems so urgent and important within the confines of the community appears utterly ridiculous when viewed from the outside. Hassan further explores the strange double standards that characterize this group. He notes the hypocrisy of a community that rallies against slurs when used by outsiders but gleefully embraces them within their own ranks. This selective morality, where the rules are bent to fit the needs of the group, is, to Hassan, yet another sign of the community's detachment from reality. It is a world where the normal rules of discourse do not apply, where cognitive dissonance is the norm rather than the exception. In this insular world, even the most benign actions are viewed through a lens of suspicion and contempt. Hassan's charitable efforts, for instance, are dismissed not as acts of goodwill but as opportunities for ridicule. The community's obsession with finding fault, even in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary, speaks to a deep-seated need to vilify those outside their circle. It is this relentless negativity, this drive to tear down rather than build up, that Hassan finds most troubling. Ultimately, Hassan's critique is not just of Destiny's community but of the broader phenomenon of online tribalism. He warns of the dangers of becoming so enmeshed in a group identity that one loses the ability to think critically, to engage with the world in a meaningful way. He urges those caught in this cycle to step back, to reflect on their actions and motivations, and to recognize the futility of their obsession. In the end, Hassan's message is one of tough love. He sees the potential for these individuals to lead happier, more fulfilling lives if only they can break free from the toxic dynamics that currently define their online existence. A significant portion of Destiny's followers took to forums and social media platforms to dismiss Hassan's observations as mere deflection, interpreting his criticisms as a sign of weakness or as an attempt to deflect from his own perceived flaws. They accused Hassan of being out of touch with the realities of online culture, framing his comments as elitist or condescending. In the echo chambers that Hassan described, his words were twisted to fit the prevailing narrative that Hassan is simply a lolco, worthy of ridicule, not serious critique. Moreover, the community's response was characterized by a refusal to acknowledge the broader implications of Hassan's critique. Rather than considering the possibility that their engagement with Destiny's content might be shaped by parasocial relationships or unhealthy obsessions, many in the community instead reaffirmed their loyalty to Destiny, seeing Hassan's critique as an attack on their identity and their community. This reaction only served to reinforce the echo chamber that Hassan had described, as members of the community rallied around their shared disdain for Hassan, further isolating themselves from external perspectives. In this way, Hassan's critique serves as both a diagnosis and a prescription. He identifies the root causes of the community's dysfunction, the parasocial relationships, the echo chamber, the selective morality, and offers a way forward. By urging his detractors to reconsider their priorities, to focus on positive, constructive engagement rather than petty vendettas, Hassan offers a path out of the darkness and into the light of reason and empathy.